As many UFC fans know, Israel Adesanya took home a big win and defended his middleweight title last Saturday, February 12th, when he took on Robert Whittaker at UFC 271. After this win, it appears as though Dana White is prepared to sign the knockout artist long-term, and quite a few people are praising him for it. In today's video, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the UFC and this new contract and the comments made about it, and trust me, some of the content we're going to be discussing is pretty wild. So stay right where you are because you're not going to want to miss a second of this video. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. First, former fighter Chael Sonnen speaks his mind. Chael Sonnen used to spend his time in the ring as an MMA fighter, but since his retirement, he's become a highly viewed MMA YouTuber that covers all the latest MMA news and shares his unfiltered opinions on the issues regarding the world of combat sports. Recently, the former warrior has given his 2 cents in the re-signing of Israel Adesanya, and to be honest, his take was a little bit hotter than some would have suspected. Let's take a look into what he said on his channel. Dana White re-signed Izzy Adesanya. Guys, we didn't even know a negotiation was going on. Do you know how cool that is? Sonnen explained. Do you know how much I like to see things like this? When a guy is doing where he's at in his career, I should never know where he's at in his contract. Whether he's happy or not on a contract he signed and celebrated at one point, I should never know. The fact that Izzy was to that point of his contract, did he have 1 left? Does he have 3 left, but they liked him so much they wanted to step in? I don't know, and I don't need to know. A bit of a bold take if you ask me. I mean, every other pro sport in North America, at least including the NBA, NFL, MLB, and NHL, all make contract negotiations clear to the public. Furthermore, when a contract is signed, the public knows exactly how much it is and for how long. Some, like Sonnen, might be against this as they deem it a private matter. Fair enough, I suppose. However, I'm not sure if Dana White deserves as much credit as he got in this video. Next, Chael gave Dana White the endorsement of a lifetime. As we'll discuss in a minute, Sonnen was very quick to follow up on his praise of how contract negotiation and signing was handled by praising White for being a generous man. Some fans and fighters in the UFC believe that Dana White is a bit on the cheap side, and fair enough. I mean, health insurance is not included in the contract for a participant in the UFC. How can you call yourself fair and generous when you outright refuse to cover health insurance for people who fight in your league for a living? You run the most profitable combat sports league in the history of the planet, and yet none of them get health insurance. I'm repeating myself so many times because of how obscene this notion is. Imagine getting punched in the face by your boss, and then he tells you to get it fixed on your own dime, even though he rakes in billions of dollars in revenue per year. Insane, right? So before you agree with Sonnen, let's take a look at what he said regarding White's generosity. Dana White started giving guys bonuses outside of what their contract called for. When he started doing this, they should have put him on the cover of Time magazine. They should have nominated him for awards. They should have praised him, Chael Sonnen said. You guys remember these days? Locker room bonus. We had the media that was disclosing what guys got paid. The media, because they couldn't get the actual numbers because Dana was giving away money that he didn't know. Our own media tried to make it backhanded. Our own media was trying to label and trying to make it derogatory. I only bring that to you because for someone to be in Adesanya's spot, that's a needle mover who's a star. Adesanya does everything right. He's in a contract negotiation and I didn't hear about it. That's the way it should be because it's none of my business. How can you be praising a man that literally refuses to pay health insurance for his employees, but randomly hands out cash in shady backroom deals? Seriously, how is that better? If your boss literally refused to pay something that should be basic benefit for working for a company, but will randomly hand out bonuses to seemingly random employees, you'd quit and nobody would blame you because that would be a normal human response to such an issue. Frankly, Sonnen is wrong and his quotes only got more insane as the video went on. Can somebody check in on Sonnen? Sonnen spent the majority of this video praising Dana White and insisting that he gets a bad reputation due to his cheapness. Now, I'm sure that Dana White is a nice enough guy away from the sport. I'm not doubting that. However, I'm highly critical of his decision to not cover the health insurance or health cost of his fighters. Without the fighters, there's no UFC. Without the UFC, there's no money in Dana White's pockets. The least he could do is take care of his fighter in a legal and proper way, not handing out random amounts of cash and backroom deals. Sonnen continued to defend Dana by saying Adesanya is going to make $1 million back-end money plus the $600,000 that was disclosed, plus Reebok money. This is a gift being given by a very generous guy, Dana White. Nobody else in the business will do this, Sonnen concluded about White and Adesanya. Elon Musk will never do this and never has. Bill Gates will not do this and never has. Tim Cook will not do it and never has. Steve Jobs will not do it and never has. It's the single most generous thing that I've personally been able to witness. Once again, handing out money that isn't owed to random fighters is unfair. And if you're going to say that Dana White only gives backroom money to the best fighter in the league, that's even worse, because the best fighters are the ones that have an insane amount of cash and will never have to worry about a payment in their lifetime, which means that the lack of health insurance is no big deal. It's the fighters that are trying to break into the league that need the insurance in case they suffer a devastating injury and can no longer fight for a living. But it's good to know that the money that could be going to the fighters who need every cent to survive are losing their potential earnings to Dana White's random spurts of generosity. Furthermore, Sonnen said that a slew of famously wealthy men would never give money away, including two names that really stood out. One of them is Steve Jobs, who he literally said will not do it, suggesting that he will be able to give away money, except he's dead and has been since 2011. Additionally, he also called out Elon Musk for never giving money away, except Elon recently donated over $5 billion worth of Tesla stock to an anonymous charity to solve world hunger. $5 billion to a charity that's going to solve world hunger. So Sonnen, you tell me, is Dana White's gesture of giving $1 million of UFC funds to a fighter who has made well over $1 million more generous than giving $5 billion away to a charity that will help people eat? If Dana White is the most generous man he has ever met, and this is the most charitable thing he's ever seen, according to his YouTube video, then he may need to get out more. It's time for change in the UFC. While I think it's awesome that so many people have their own opinion in the matter, I have to frankly disagree with Chael Sonnen on this issue. I think that the contract being discussed in private is not a hero's gesture. I strongly believe that the public has a strong voice in certain contract matters. For example, if it was well known that White and Adesanya were in the midst of contract negotiations, then fans and coaches and other fighters would be weighing in on what they think he should make and just how much he means to the success of the UFC, thus forcing White to possibly pay him more. When it comes to pro sports, public knowledge on contract talks is good. It keeps managers accountable and ensures that they are giving their player or fighter or participant the best deal they can. Keeping it private allows Dana White to strong-arm Adesanya and other fighters looking to sign an extension. Adesanya is the most entertaining middleweight fighter in the league right now and deserves every penny he can be given by Dana White. End of story. And if private contract negotiations stand in the way of that, then that does not equate to generosity or a healthy work environment. Sonnen is dead wrong on this issue, and the UFC can stand to change and be more fair to its fighters in terms of benefits and compensation. That's all we have for you guys today on the channel. Thank you all so much for tuning in. What do you think of Sonnen's comments? We'll see you in the next video.